All right, hello everybody. This is Flea with another episode of Flea Loves. That sounds pretty professional. I'm like a professional. The other night, I went out to a concert, and in attendance at this concert was Dr. Demento. And I've never really been so in love with a radio DJ, but when I was a little kid, I'd loved Dr. Demento. And I didn't really know, I kind of found him on accident. My parents were out one night and I was left alone and I was listening to the radio. And I just kind of happened upon Dr. Demento. And I was just laying there in the dark listening to it. And they had a fart contest that went on for a half hour, a fart contest. And it was and now they step up to the platform. And he described the outfit. They were wearing body, skin-tight leotards with little holes over the buttholes. And the guys would come up and fart. And then there was a panel of judges and they would discuss the fart. And they'd be well, and then it got down to the end of it. They were naming all the farts. Some guy came out and you hear he goes, "Oh, a triple filibuster. That was an outstanding fart. What do you think, Jim?" "Well, I think, had a lot of good texture, but it tapered off at the end. It didn't have a lot of force." And they're talking about it. And anyways, at the very end of the contest, this guy comes up and they're describing him. He's he's a little Chinese guy or something, and they're describing his suit. And he assumes a position. He's on his back, holding his legs in the air. And then and they're saying to win the contest, all he needs is one little freep, just one little freep. And he assumes the position, and then you hear the biggest thing, and they're and you hear them going, "Oh no, he is disqualified right away." And, the guy pooped all over the place and he was disqualified and lost the contest. But, I was just all alone at home, just laughing my head off. And he played all kinds of funny songs. And then in the middle of it also, he'd play Marvin Gaye. And that was the first time I heard of Marvin Gaye. And he'd play it'd be all this comedy and crazy, novelty songs. And then he'd be "Here's Marvin Gaye." And I was I don't get it. It's not funny. Yeah, but it was beautiful. But you know what I mean? Wow. But it was funny. And that was the first time I knew about Marvin Gaye. But anyways, the reason I mentioned it, because I started talking, and so I just thought, who's a DJ? And I thought of Dr. Demento. But the other night, I went to a concert, and it happens to be the concert of the first artist I'm going to play today. I don't go to a lot of concerts because I have a little baby boy, and he gets up at 6 a.m, and I just can't, I can't. But this happened. This girl was opening, and it was real close, and she went on at 7:45, and I'm a huge fan. So I went, and the girl's name is May Simonis, and I became a really big fan of her kind of over the last year or so, maybe, I don't know. She put out an EP that I came across, and when we were on their last stretch of tour, I listened to it every day. I just love this album so much, or EP. And so I went to go see her play, and it was just great. She's such a fantastic musician, just her and an upright bass player. Great jazz musicians, these kids, They go to these good music schools and they come out just knowing their shit. But she uses all those tools to a really emotionally powerful effect. So she made this EP called Kabuto Mushi, and I just love it. I'm going to play 2 songs off it because I love it so much, and I really hope people connect with it because she's awesome. And the first song is called Tegami, Tegami, Tegami. And the second song is called Inaka. So Tegami and Inaka. And Inaka is a great song. It actually has a real catchy chorus to it vocally, and not really her style so much to aim for a catchy chorus, but it does have one. And also there's a restaurant called Inaka. It used to be in Hollywood. It was my favorite restaurant in the world, and I ate there for 40 years. And then I went on tour last time and came back, and it was closed, and I was devastated. So I'm sure she doesn't know about the restaurant. That's not what it's about. But I love her. I'm a big fan. She gives me hope for the youngsters, making original, beautiful-sounding music with great musicianship and great feeling. And May Simonis, M-E-I, first name, last name Simonis, S-E-M-O-N-E-S. Check out her EP, Kabuto Mushi. So that was May Simonis. And speaking of great musicians, I'm so lucky to live in a time where there's just all kinds of music that we can access, and I'm old and grumpy, and I get like, I don't like it's all corporate and blah, blah, blah. And, people don't listen all the way through now. They don't pay attention because music's streaming and, you know what I mean? They don't sit down and listen and love a record and care about the sound of it and, live with it. They just stream and then go like wash their dishes or something or talk over it. That said, having the access at the drop of a hat, you can hear anything you want. And I had heard about this guitar player called Jeff Parker from a friend 6-7 years ago, and it turned out that he also was a parent at the school where my middle daughter was going to. And so I think we had actually played together in some like thing for the kids when the parents would play music for the kids to sing. We did like a Bob Marley song or something. And he's just an amazing musician, and he actually put out a record that's called The Way Out of Easy. And if you like music and you like great instrumental music and you want to hear some people that can really play with great sensitivity and connection and innovative sounds and extreme virtuosity, there's a 20-minute song called Freakadelic. And the bass player is Anna Butters, the drummer is Jay Belleros, and the alto saxophone is played by Josh Johnson, but the guitar is played by Jeff Parker, and it's his album. And Anna, actually, the bass player, I went and took bass lessons from Anna. She's great. She's a young Australian girl, and she's just amazing. And I wanted to learn some stuff about playing bass, and I wish I would have kept up with her. I actually would like to try to find time to do it with her again. And I don't know if she would have time, but I would love to play with her more. I'd love to study with her. She's a great bass player, and she plays bass on it. And man, she's hard. She's a great jazz bass player, but plays upright bass. She plays electric too, and plays in like, popular groups, like I don't know who, but she does stuff. But she's like her thing, like, and her husband is the saxophone player, this guy Josh, who actually played on the last Chili Pepper record on a few of the songs on Dream Canteen and on Unlimited Love. Yeah, he plays on that album, and me and John Frusciante were there when he came in to play. Oh, Anthony was there too. And we were just floored by his musicianship. Anyways, and I've been taking bass lessons from this girl, but turns out it's his wife. So, life is just so crazy. And then I fell in love with Jeff Parker's playing, and he plays with them, like that's in his quartet. So it's, life is amazing. So, but instead of playing the 20-minute song, I'm going to play, happy that he put out a record that's just guitar, solo guitar, in 2021, and the album's called For Folks, Forfolks, but this particular song, which is the second song on the album, is called For Folks, Four, like the number, folks. And the whole record is great, and I don't even know what one to pick. It's just like this beautiful guitar track after beautiful guitar track, and I just love the way he plays. He has such a unique, restrained, emotional, beautiful style of playing guitar. And so this song, For Folks, from the album For Folks by Jeff Parker, and I hope you all enjoy it. So that was Jeff Parker, and if you have a heart, you liked that. If you like to listen to music, you like that. The next thing, I'm all playing stuff that's kind of new to me and that I've been into listening to lately on this particular episode of Flea Loves. The next song I'm going to play by, and I say this with a lot of thought behind it, because I've been loving hip-hop, since my first hip-hop shows that I went to in like 1982, 81. I went and saw Egyptian Lover and Ice-T, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Africa Bombata and the Soul Sonic Force, early hip-hop. And I've loved hip-hop just like I love all music ever since. And there's been so many great MCs, from KRS-One to Rakim to, the Jizza to Black Thought. There's a million great MCs, Snoop, Eminem, so many. But I think that this guy is my favorite rapper of all time. So, I don't say it lightly because there's so many great rappers and it's, impossible to compare. But he just gets me, and it's Kendrick Lamar. I just feel it right in my heart every time he opens his mouth. And he just put out an album called GNX. And the GNX looks a lot like the Grand Natty. the GNX car. It's a Buick, you know, and it basically is a Grand Natty, but real souped up. And I have a Grand Natty, and he called his record after it GNX. He's done it again, once again. I just love it. And I don't know the album that well, so I'm playing the first song on the album called Whacked Out Murals. And it's great. And I just feel so much from the guy. I just feel it. I feel great emotions. I don't even always know, I'm an old white man. What the fuck do I know? But I know I love great artistry, and I love him. And I'm a fan. And this is Whacked Out Murals by Kendrick Lamar. Coming up next, we're talking about, Kendrick Lamar for a long time put out his records with, was managed by, worked with, and I'm sure he still does to some extent, even though I think he's wanted to get his own thing happening, but with Top Dog, who's from Watts in Los Angeles, California. And he's someone who has a real great ear for music and a real ability to bring it to people in a way that really builds bridges of culture to bring to the world. And I really like the guy. And he signed this girl called Doechii. And she put out, she's put out a few records, and she's great. The one that she just put out this past year, Alligator Bites Never Heal. And she's from down in Florida, so she knows about alligators. I just dig her, man. The first song I heard, she was like with J-Rock and them over by Nickerson in a cool looking car. And I just, and I was like, oh, she looks cool as hell. And then I'm listening to her and I just like love her. I love her rapping. She's funny. She's deep. She's intense. She's sexy. She's a star. She's got it all going on. I just dig it. I'm a fan. So I'm going to play a song from her record, Alligator Bites Never Healed, called Bullfrog. Once again, I hope everybody enjoys it. That was Doechii with Bullfrog. So earlier, I played a song by Jeff Parker called For Folks. I hope you liked it. I mentioned that he doesn't actually play on that album, but he's played on other albums with Jeff Parker and played with him a lot. And his name is Josh Johnson. He played on a Chili Pepper record. And he produced a record that came out last year by someone I've always loved called Michelle Ndige Ochello. And Michelle Ndige Ochello is super soulful, great artist, very unique, very herself, very in herself, very conscious, smart, rockin', funky, soulful musician. And she put out a record, she's put out one since, but the penultimate record, the record she put out a record is kind of very based around the teachings of James Baldwin most recently, but the one before that is called the Omnichord Real Book. It's a great album. I couldn't stop listening to it. I listened to it, I've listened to it 20 times all the way through. I just love it. It's one of those things. I love it. It's got all kinds of jams on it. And so I decided to pick one that's based on an old kind of folk song, kids song that a lot of us in America sang when we were kids, and maybe it's a British song, maybe. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole. Well, with what shall I fix it, dear Liza, or dear Henry. Anyways, it's, you guys know that song. And she does a version of that song. It's just so beautiful and soulful, and I get my trumpet out and like to play along with it, and it's just fun to play. And it captures, the depth that she has through this simple old folk kids song. And the Omnichord Real Book, if you're an aspiring jazz musician or a musician of any kind, really, you're probably familiar with real books. And for those who don't know, real books are what used to be called, when I grew up, fake books. And they're called fake books because they were illegal, bootleg transcriptions of tunes that jazz musicians all wanted to know. All the standards, all the Charlie Parker songs, the bebop songs, all the great jazz songs that if you wanted to be a great jazz musician and learn that language, you would have to learn these songs. And before the internet, where you could just get anything, you could buy in music stores these bootlegged illegal books called fake books. And they had transcriptions, chord changes, and the melodies written down of all these songs. And, most, if not all, jazz musicians came up playing out of these books and learning songs out of these books. And they'd always be wrong. They'd have wrong notes and wrong chords, or, because it was just some guy making them, and all different kinds of them. But now they've gotten, I guess they get the licensing, and they're called real books that do the same thing as a fake book, but they're probably a little more accurate and stuff. But anyways, and the omnichord is this little instrument. It's like a plastic Casio type looking thing. I don't know who makes it, but it's called an omnichord. And you press one button and it plays a chord, like kind of any chord you can think of. C minor 7, boom, you press it. Diminished chord, augmented chord, like all these chords. And so, it's fun if you're not that familiar with, it's a cheating way to get to chords without really learning how chords function or what they're made of, or you might all know all that stuff to the deepest extent. And you still use it because it's just cool and it's a fun instrument to play. And she uses it on this record. And the record's called the Omnichord Real Book. And this is a song off it called Hole in the Bucket. And I hope you like it. All right, that was Hole in the Bucket. And I realize that, like a complete fucking wuss, before every song I've said, I hope you like it. I don't care if you like it. I like it. That's why the show's called Flea Loves, not Flea Hopes You Like It. I don't know what's the matter with me today. I'm getting soft in my old age. Anyways, this has been another episode of Flea Loves. Grateful to one and all. I send love to one and all. I hope that you like the music that I played. There I go again. But I guess I say that because, most of the people that come to a Chili Pepper Rocks radio station, I feel like a lot of them, want rock music, loud, aggressive rock music. And I get it. I love loud, aggressive rock music, but I just haven't been listening to it lately. I listen to it, but just not, it hasn't been a thing that's been getting me lately. And I when I was playing in Fear and playing straight hardcore punk rock all the time, and back then I was listening to jazz every day. I was listening to Louis Armstrong. So just how I am, it's what gets me. It's what stokes the fire within in me. So I'm playing music that you might not usually like. And so when I say I hope I like it, I realize it's just, it's understanding. I'm sharing you with, what makes me me. And these are the things that make me me. So I love you. If you don't like it, you can eat a bag of dicks. Thank you very much. See you later.